But no, it's fine. We got back about 40 minutes ago. Managed to get the girls ready for bed and everything. So the purpose of this, so it's our first Thursday on Winter Wonder Plan, and the purpose of this is we're 4 days in, right? And then 4 days in, I'm hoping that you're all got a clearer picture, but I'm just worried that some of you don't, or yeah, I just want to make sure that you're clear on what's going on. Also, we're about to hit our first weekend, and this is massive, because what tends to happen is something I'm going to speak about in more detail, but I don't want this calorie deficit in the week and then boom, it sort of gets forgotten about on a weekend. So let's dive straight in. If people join in live, fantastic. Ask any questions. The whole point of this is to clear up some questions that I've been asked throughout the week. I have obviously responded, but I just want to go more in depth. So if you have asked any of these questions, this is where you want to come and get a more in-depth answer, and I'm going to save this in the group. Worth a watch back. Maybe you can just listen to the audio while with the headphones on while you're out increasing your steps one day, because hopefully it's just have some good and useful information for you. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about going into our first weekend. Now, what we're aiming to do is eat in a calorie deficit, and obviously that means eating less food or giving your body less energy than it needs to function. Okay, so your body is constantly using energy, okay, and that is called your total daily energy expenditure. Your total daily energy expenditure is made up of 4 components, okay, so there's 4 components to your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. By far the biggest component, the biggest percentage of your total daily energy expenditure is made up of your basal metabolic rate. This is the amount of calories that your body burns at rest, and that's for metabolic, physiological, biological functions within your body, just things like circulating blood, hormone function, or things that you wouldn't even know what was going on. Okay, so even if you were to lay in bed all day long, your body is still using a hell of a lot of energy. It's actually the largest part. It's roughly around 65% of your total daily energy expenditure is made up of your basal metabolic rate. We don't really have much influence over our basal metabolic rate. There is way we can raise it. So when people say things about like boosting your metabolism, what they mean is by raising your metabolic rate. There is a few things that you can do. There's a few things that have been proven to raise your metabolic rate, and really common ones like caffeine. However, it's a very small amount, and if you're someone who drinks a lot of caffeine, by now you won't be getting the effects of a raised metabolic rate. It's someone who's quite new to caffeine that will see the effects on that. Same thing has happened with things like green tea and very certain extracts of things, but they're so minimal they're really not worth going on about. The best way you can increase or boost your metabolism or raise your metabolic rate is by adding lean muscle mass to your body. This is because muscle is hungry tissue. It takes a lot more energy to heat up, therefore raising your metabolic rate. Okay, so the more muscle you have, the higher your metabolic rate will be. This is one reason why we try to get people on a resistance program when they're trying to lose weight. That's just one reason, and it's a very small reason, but it is a reason. Okay, so that's your basal metabolic rate. That's your biggest component of your total daily energy expenditure. The next one I'm going to come back to, because that's the biggest bit I'm going to talk about. It's called your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. You might have heard it shortened to NEAT. Get your NEAT up. There's sayings all around social media, but your NEAT is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and this is all the energy that we use through movement, not exercise. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So just things like movement that you do, like me sitting here moving right now, getting out of bed in the morning, taking a shower, going to work, cooking our dinner, playing with the kids, sort of leisurely activities, okay? Just movement, even blinking is classed as NEAT, okay? All these, anything, fidgeting, standing up, mowing the lawn, doing the dishes, this is all your NEAT, right? This is roughly 20% of our total daily energy expenditure. Now this is the part that we have the most influence over. The more you move, the more energy you use, okay? Therefore, the more of a deficit you can put yourself in. I'm going to come back to NEAT in a minute, but I'm just going to finish off the other components of your TDEE. So your next one is your thermic effect of food, and this is the amount of energy that your body uses just to digest food, essentially. This is roughly about 10% of your total daily energy expenditure. And then your last one, believe it or not, is your thermic effect of exercise. It is only 5% of your total daily energy expenditure. Not a lot, is it? This is why I will always say exercise should not be used as a fat loss tool. Okay, losing fat comes from good nutrition and being active. Okay, so that comes down to increasing your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, not your exercise. Okay, so just controlling your diet, so making sure that we're eating less energy than our body needs. Okay, ticked off number one, we're in a calorie deficit. Number two, increasing your activity. This is why we have a step target. So things like walking, cooking, cleaning, gardening, going to work, all of this is your NEAT. These are the things that you need to increase, because that is 20% of your total daily energy expenditure. Exercise is only 5%. You can have an influence over 20%. Do anything you can to not be sat down sedentary for too long. Anything, even just walking around the house is better than being sat down, because you're burning more calories. The whole point is to burn energy, burn calories, because what your body needs, all this stored energy on your body, that's body fat. You want to get rid of that. So you need to keep forcing your body to keep burning energy. So you just need to keep moving and being consistent in your calorie deficit. So that's why we have a step target. That's why it's important to hit your step target. And this is consistent, not a few days a week. Every day we want to be hitting that step target. We want to keep our body burning calories consistently. So that's why we have a step goal. So if you haven't yet got your step goal, please contact me, because you need your step goal. Okay, you need to be hitting that. Right, let's move on to another question I got asked around protein. Okay, so things like protein, right, you've all got a protein target. Now the reason you've got a protein target, protein is just one of the macronutrients. So you've got carbohydrates, you've got fats, and you've got proteins. Okay, so protein is made up of amino acids, and these are the building blocks for pretty much everything we are. It's nice one, Hannah. Well done. This is, I really do recommend finding a podcast, something you're interested in, and listen to a podcast while you walk. Like, you can use it to learn, you can use it to something for yourself, right? Whatever you're interested in. I don't know if anyone else has heard of it, that Shagged, Married, Annoyed. It's Chris and Rosie Ramsey. Such a good podcast. I love listening to that when I'm out. Well, if I'm walking the kids to school, it's like a 3-mile walk there, 3-mile walk home, so it's a 6-mile walk. Just listen to a podcast. It's nice. It's almost like it's therapeutic. You're doing something for you, even though you're out walking. So yeah, I definitely recommend listening to music you enjoy, or listening to a podcast and just walk. It's a really good way to do it. So protein, it's a macronutrient, and it's made up of amino acids, and it pretty much makes the human body everything it is. Okay, our skin, hair, nails, that's all made of protein. Our muscles made of protein. Protein can also, it can act as hormones when it needs to. It is all to do with energy production. Protein is massive, okay? Now, the main reasons we want to eat a higher protein diet when we're in a calorie deficit is for a few reasons. First one being, it's very filling. Okay, protein is the most filling of all the macronutrients. The way it's metabolized, the way it's digested is slightly different, and it actually takes longer to break down. So it takes longer to leave our stomachs, so it keeps us fuller for longer. It has what we call a muscle sparing. Well, basically, when you're in an energy deficit, okay, so your body is, if you're in an energy deficit for a long time, your body's going to start getting through its fat reserves, right? So you've only got a certain amount of body fat, and when your body starts using a lot of that body fat, it can break down muscle tissue. It can break down muscle tissue and go through a biological process to turn that into glucose to use as energy, and we need to avoid this at all costs. This is why eating a higher protein target will really stop that happening. reason we want to keep as much functional or muscle mass as possible is for many reasons. Aesthetically, you want to have muscle mass because that helps shape your body. If you don't build muscle or keep the muscle you have and lose weight, all that's going to happen when you look in the mirror naked at what your body, if you all you're doing is losing weight, you're only ever going to be a smaller version of what you see. If you build muscle under that fat, as the fat goes, you're going to see muscle, you're changing the shape of your body. And that's this toned look that people talk about, such a vague term. But yeah, essentially that is building muscle and losing fat. The real name for it is body recomposition, and it is not always easy to do, but it's very easy to do if you're quite new to training, B, if you have a lot of fat to lose, C, if you've had a long break from training. These are reasons where actually body composition can be easier to achieve. If you're someone who trains a lot and you've got a really high training age and you don't have much fat to lose, it is a bit harder. You've kind of got to pick. You've kind of got to go in a fat loss phase or a muscle building phase. But actually, someone who's quite new can actually do it at the same time, which is good and very exciting. So yeah, that's only 2 reasons. So it's more filling. It will help maintain your muscle mass. I mean, they're the 2 main reasons really why we have a protein target. And the things I want to mention about this when I say protein, okay, so I mean lean protein sources. Google it. I mean, I have given you a few sheets and they're things that I sort of eat on a daily basis. But actually, it's really not hard to get 100 grams of protein in a day. And that's the minimum that we should be aiming for. If you were to have, say, a scoop of whey in your oats in the morning, a chicken breast with your lunch, say 125 grams of 5% fat mince for your dinner, and a protein bar as a snack, that's your 100 grams done. Simple as that. If you're someone who's got 100 or 20 grams or over, you just increase the amount of protein on your plate. So instead of saying having 125 grams of chicken, have 140 grams of chicken. Because then that bumps it from sort of 30 grams of protein up to about 36 grams of protein. So yeah, 125 grams of chicken breast is roughly about 30 grams of protein. Double it. Most of my meals contain about 200 grams of chicken. So what's that? That's about 40 grams of protein. I mean, that's quite a lot, and actually your body can only metabolize a certain amount, but for me it's the filling factor that I need. I'm hungry all the time, so if I don't eat a high protein diet, I snack a lot. If the more protein I eat, the less I snack. It's as simple as that. So it really helps me align my actions and then align with my goals. Can be to me a good high protein nutritious meal and I'm not snacking. And if I do snack, I only snack on protein. Now I'm really good. I never used to. I used to find it really challenging. But actually now all my snacks consist of is things like boiled eggs, just literally like chicken. When I cook my meal prep, I cook extra and I'll leave like offcuts in the fridge. So if I'm hungry, I'll grab like half a boiled egg, some offcuts and some vegetable sticks, because I am not going to be overeating that. Yeah, if I had a plate full of like popcorn and sweets, I would overeat. But I find that's, for me, my biggest thing has been switching off from physical hunger and emotional hunger. And actually, let's quickly talk about this because this might be something good for people to watch back. So physical hunger and emotional hunger, okay, these are 2 very different things. And hopefully I can give you some tips on whether knowing which is which, because sometimes it's not always easy. You feel hungry and you want to eat, right? So physical hunger usually is a gradual thing, okay? You might start to feel hungry, and then you get really busy, right? Something pops up at work and you can't get out, or something happens, and then sort of a couple of hours later you're starving. That could be physical hunger, right? Because you were hungry a few hours ago and you've not eaten. Also things like if you always have your lunch at 12, every day you have your lunch at 12, and for some reason you couldn't that particular day, you're going to be really hungry, okay? That's physical hunger. Emotional hunger is often very quickly onset. There's a really quick onset to it. You're very much more likely to have a craving for a certain food with emotional hunger. and you're very much likely to overeat. If you're overeating, that was probably emotional hunger, not physical hunger. Physical hunger, you could put a plate of salad in front of you and you'd be like, yeah, I'll eat that, I'm hungry. Emotional hunger, you'll be like, no, I'm all right, thanks. Where's the chocolate? So that's the difference. And a really good thing that we can maybe try and start doing if you are someone who struggles with emotional hunger is really trying to be present in the moment, okay? If you have a sudden urge to eat something that probably isn't going to align with your goal, when you go to get that food, just think, how am I feeling right now? How am I going to feel after I've ate this food? Do I need it? Do I need this food, or shall I maybe grab something else, maybe higher protein or high fibrous, some vegetable sticks? If the answer is no, you probably know that that is emotional hunger, and then it's up to you, right? Sometimes you can, if you've got a sudden onset emotional hunger for a chocolate bar, do you know what? If you can stop at eating one chocolate bar, that is not the end of the world. I mean, a chocolate bar, what, 200-300 calories? It's not the end of the world. But me in the past, it wouldn't have stopped at one chocolate bar, okay? And that's the difference. It's being able to control that. What I do now, and I genuinely think this isn't a learnt technique. This is something that I just done and it actually worked. I am a big, it comes in waves, and if I'm close to my period, I snack a lot. And what I do now is I make sure in my fridge, chopped up, every day it has to be replenished, celery sticks, carrot sticks. I like them anyway. But if I find myself going to that fridge, I'll grab a handful, and I mean a handful. Like I've ate a whole packet of celery and like half bag of carrots some nights, because what happened was I knew that's what I made the decision once. Okay, I made the decision once that if I'm snacking, it's on celery and carrots. That's it. No, I'm not having any other snacks. I made that decision, and that was my boundaries, and I stuck to them. Then what I started doing was going to the fridge and being like, oh, I'll just take a couple. And then it essentially just stopped, because I was like, I'm not that hungry for celery, really. And if I am, yeah, I'll chow down a load of celery. I'll sit there, because sometimes it's just the actual habit of eating, and it's really crunchy, and you have to chew it. So for me, it works. I know that's not going to work for everyone. I'm not telling you to turn into rabbits. I'm just saying that's a technique that I used, and it did help curb a lot of my sort of cravings for snacks. But yeah, now my snacks tend to be things like boiled eggs, meat offcuts, protein shakes. Love a protein shake. I have like certain flavours. Here's my top 3. So this one's a daytime one. Iced mocha. So I put skimmed milk, ice, my chocolate caramel. I think I've got chocolate caramel whey and coffee. Blend it up. Iced mocha. Beautiful. Really filling. High protein. It's about 30 grams of protein. My second favourite is coconut milk, frozen mango, frozen pineapple, and vanilla whey. It tastes like a pina colada. It's delicious. And yeah, and then number 3 is skimmed milk, strawberry whey, and frozen summer berries blended. Yeah, love a protein shake. Make them taste. Obviously, don't just put protein powder and water. I mean, that's horrible. But yeah, if you're somebody who hasn't got a whey protein powder yet, I really recommend them. You can add them to, I add them to Greek yogurt. I got a pot of Greek yogurt, fat-free Greek yogurt, and I add a scoop of whey. And so at the minute, I'll show you mine. I've used bulk. So I use this brand, but there's loads, Hannah. They're all the same, if I'm being totally honest. A lot of them, all these expensive ones, you're going to be paying for the branding and the packaging. Whey protein it's just filtered milk. That's all it is. It's the whey taken out of the milk, so it's just protein. It's essentially a process of taking protein from dairy. Okay, so it's just a supplement. It's a protein supplement. There's no different than having this than taking fish oil tablets. It's a supplement. So I use this brand Bulk. In the past I've also used My Protein, Precision Nutrition, Optimum Nutrition, PhD, is it PhD? There's loads, there's absolutely loads, and the reason I choose these brands at the minute, because these always have offers on the website. So I think My Protein at the minute is, if you spend however much you spend, you get that percentage off. So if you spend like 40 quid, you get 40% off, which is amazing. So you could spend 40 quid, you'd probably get like 3 of these, so you get that for like 20 quid. So maybe have a look on My Protein. Now the only really difference you might see with a whey is this little word here, whey isolate. Now whey isolate is slightly purer than normal whey, and for me this might be a bit TMI, but whey protein can make you quite gassy, let's say, and I find the isolate, I don't fart as much. There we go, I said it. But if you're someone who doesn't suffer too much with bloating and things like that, because essentially it is dairy, right? And a lot of people, I think everyone has a slight intolerance to dairy. So if you're someone who dairy does make you bloat, you might want to go for the isolate. They tend to be a tiny bit more expensive, but not much. So yeah, and I love it. So I've got a vanilla flavour. This is, every morning I add this to my oats. So I get a pot of porridge, lazy, I know I can just weigh out porridge, but I get a pot of porridge, I like the flavoured ones.
Where's that, do you know the strawberry and sour one? But
Yeah, you're not having them now. I get a pot of porridge, you know, the ones that you just add boiling water to from the kettle, but I add a scoop of this first. So I open up my pot, add a scoop of this, mix it in, and then I pour my boiling water in, mix it, done. I then add a scoop of frozen berries, and that's my breakfast. So it goes from being essentially a pot of porridge, which has, what, 4 grams of protein, to 30 grams of protein breakfast, just by adding a scoop of whey. So yeah, that's I also add that to Greek yogurt. But and then I have a strawberry flavour to add to Greek yogurt and to make shakes with, and I have a chocolate flavour, again, Greek yogurt or shakes. But they've Bulk do this amazing pistachio ice cream flavour, which when you add to Greek yogurt, it's like you're eating ice cream. It's so nice. Yeah, I've used these for years. There is, if you're someone who is vegetarian, vegan, there's loads of plant-based sources of a protein supplement. There's like hemp protein, pea protein, all sorts. But yeah, whey protein if you eat animal sources. Loads of different brands, and it doesn't matter, go for the cheapest one. You just want to, what I personally would avoid the diet versions. Reason being, the diet versions tell you to have 2 scoops. You have 2 scoops for around 30 grams of protein, but it's double the amount of calories. It's because it's telling you to have it as a meal replacement. Well, you don't need a meal replacement shake. You're better off eating food. It's just a supplement. It's just to add more protein to your diet, as simple as that. So things like adding it to oats and adding it to yogurt, it just turns a snack or a meal into a higher protein snack or meal. It's a supplement. So yeah, I wouldn't go for a diet one. I'd go for a whey isolate or just a whey, standard whey. And go for any flavour you want. Things like Bulk and My Protein, they're a list of like 20 different flavours. Some of them do like samples as well. Some brands can be very sweet because obviously they do have sweeteners in them. But I've not found, I mean, some of the really cheap ones, like if you go into places like Home Bargains, B&M, the really cheap ones in there, they're very sweet. But brands like Bulk, My Protein, some of the higher end brands that you'll find in Holland and Barrett, or even most supermarkets do them now. Most supermarkets, and at the minute in most supermarkets, the Optimum Nutrition, which is, it's called Gold Standard. It is very nice. They're always on offer. So you can get like the kilogram bags, which is this size, for about 12-15 quid. And that does around 20 servings. It's actually really cheap. This, if you think, 1 scoop of this is the same amount of protein as a chicken breast, but you get, this is so much cheaper. It's like well over half the price. And it's more convenient. If you want to get a bit of protein in, you're going to walk down the street with a chicken breast or a protein shake. Yeah, got a bit off track, but yeah, protein powders. Definitely recommend you get one. That's what I said. Yeah, so my snacks. Yeah, so like boiled eggs, meat offcuts, protein powders, protein bars, things like. But I'm busy here, there, and everywhere, right? With like school runs, clubs, PTing, at the gym. I'm like, I'm not at home much, okay? So if I don't take a prepped meal out with me and borrow somebody's microwave, I can get caught out. You know, if you are ever caught out, you're out shopping and you don't want to sit and have a meal, but you don't want to like grab a freaking crap snack that you normally would, go into like a supermarket, Tesco Express, anything like that. And my go-tos would be, you get boiled egg pots and a pack of fridge raiders. Like 2 boiled eggs and a pack of fridge raiders and a 0 calorie fizzy drink. I'm full. I am full, and it's really high protein. So things like that don't get caught out when you're out shopping. And if you are out and think, oh my God, what am I going to do? Don't panic. Just go to a shop and get essentially something high protein. Most places do like protein bars as well, like the Grenade Carb Killer bars, really tasty, and protein shakes, things like that. But yeah, and another thing quickly on the physical versus emotional hunger, or just hunger in general, don't ever let yourself get hungry, right? So think of a scale of 1 to 10, and 1 is you're not hungry at all, and 10 is you feel sick, you're that hungry. You always want to sort of stay between like a 3 and a 7. It's happened to me in the past when I'm like, no, I'm on it, I'm good, I know my choices, I've set my boundaries, I have a meal plan, and then I'm starving to the point it's like I'm going to eat someone's fucking head off. Like I'm angry. I'm so angry that I'm hungry, and I'll go into a restaurant and I'm already angry because I know the food's going to take too long and I just want to eat. I'm so hungry. And then what normally, if I wasn't hungry, I'd have sat down and I'd have maybe ordered like a steak with a side salad, or any a jacket potato with beans, anything that's low calorie, high protein. No, I'm going straight for the dirtiest, fattest burger they have because I'm starving and I'm angry and I want it now. So just don't let yourself get hungry. But this is why things like meal prepping works. This is why things like having a meal plan, not a meal plan as simple as like eat this at this time, but having a calendar with your meals on, right? Because it's just going to stop you getting to that point where I'm so fucking hungry that I'm going to eat the waitress if she doesn't bring my food right now, because I get that like a lot. I'm the hungriest person, so just don't let yourself get hungry. It's as simple as that. And again, another reason why a higher protein diet will help with that, because you don't get as hungry because it takes longer to leave your stomach, essentially. Okay, so we have gone over a lot already, haven't we? We've gone over why we've got your step count, okay, to increase your NEAT, and why that's important. We've gone over why you have a protein target and how that can be so easily achieved. Going over hunger, physical versus emotional, and how to stop emotion, or how to help with emotional eating. And there was one other question I got which I forgot to write down. Okay, and I think it was on the similar lines of steps, and it came in from my mum. So my mum's worked with me in the past and she lost a lot of weight. She was someone who went from doing around 6,000 steps a day and she went up to 12,000 steps a day. Eventually she worked her way up to that. Now she has been carried on using MyFitnessPal. We've not, we sort of stopped sort of diet phase with her November. She's pretty much maintained. I think she put a little bit on, a few kilograms. And she messaged me last Sunday after the live and said, I've been maintaining my weight on 1850 calories, and I'm still doing 10 to 12,000 steps. So if I want to keep eating 18,500 calories, 1,850 calories, shall I up my steps? Now, if she had been eating 1,800 calories and maintaining, I would have said yes, because she's like me and would rather eat more, and she can afford to move more, right? She can easily increase her activity. So there's different ways you can do it. If I know her lifestyle, if I'm like, to be fair, Mum, I know you can't really do any more steps because of your job, cut your calories a bit. But she is someone who can, like, she gets the bus to work, she can get off 2 steps early. She can walk 2 stops, things like that. She can get home from work and walk the dog. So I know she can. So I would have said, yeah, keep your calories the same and up your steps. However, here's how this is when it comes down to having a good relationship. Obviously, she's my mom and I'm not going to have this close relationship with you guys, but this is when the honesty and real trust comes in, because what I did say to her was, you haven't been maintaining your weight on 1850. You haven't been as adherent to your diet, and that's because you haven't been having your check-ins. You haven't had the accountability. And what you think you've been eating 1,850 calories, but I can guarantee you will have been not adding everything on MyFitnessPal, not like you did when we were working. And she was like, yeah, you're right. And I've not. So I said, keep your steps the same and actually be adherent to 1,850 calories, and we'll see how you got on in 2 weeks. And she's lost this week, so this is where it comes down to being honest with yourself. I used to do it in the past. I'd be like, okay, I'm eating 1,800 calories, or that's what I'm putting on my MyFitnessPal, and actually there was the odd thing that I've forgotten about, or the odd thing that I didn't weigh correctly, and I was only cheating myself, right? And I didn't realize I was doing it. You know, you can't physically. Plus, I told you this before, it's not actually accurate. It's not completely accurate what you're adding in. It's more getting you to be adherent, okay, but getting you to be accountable. But actually, when you are properly adherent and properly accountable, that's where the difference is. I went from just sitting around the same weight, and I was like, but I'm in a calorie deficit. Why is it not working? Why is it not working? And actually, I wasn't. And actually, when I just really did be adherent to actually putting everything I ate, that's when this year I've lost 10 kilogram, and the lowest calories I've been on is 1,600 calories. And actually, I'm full a lot. I mean, I eat 4 meals a day, high protein, I'm never hungry, and I've lost 10 kilogram doing that. So, and that is because I've been consistent. And this is the last point, coming up to the weekend, right? There is absolutely no point in you eating in a calorie deficit Monday to Friday and then eating what you want on the weekend, because the chances are you've only been in the deficit of around 600 calories over them 4 days. You can easily eat 600 calories back in like half a meal. So this is consistent, okay, this calorie deficit you have to be. If you are someone who has something coming up where you're like, I need more calories that day, just take some off every other day, right? So if you know you want to go out for a meal and you're not going to be able to track it, just take 100 or 200 calories off every other day. Then you've got, what, an extra 1,000 calories over 5 days. So you can do it like that. But I wouldn't do that every weekend, personally, because that is what I used to do. That is why I used to be like, I'm in a calorie deficit. And I was Monday to Friday, and then the weekends just be like, poof. But I wouldn't think it was that bad. I wouldn't add in every drink I'd had. I wouldn't add in everything I ate, because I was like, oh, there's only a few hundred calories, it's not going to count. Well, actually it did, because it wasn't until I was consistent with a meal plan. I meal prepped 7 days, for 7 days a week. I meal prepped on a Wednesday and Sunday, so every day I had 2 meals a day. That is when I lost the weight, because I wasn't doing this Monday to Friday weekend, because you're just eating back your deficit from the week. It's like you're working hard for no reason. So yeah, just bear that in mind about the weekends. And if you are someone who wants to enjoy your weekends more, go for it. But you need to probably take more off in your week, but not too much, because all that's going to happen then is you're going to lead to a restrict binge cycle. Okay, and then Monday comes round and you're probably not going to work out because you're going to be feeling guilty. You're going to be feeling like crap. You're going to be bloated. The scales are then going to go up because that's going to be water retention. But you're going to think you've put all this fat on. So this is why psychologically it is, again, better just to stay consistent. I've been logging everything, but finding some days I might be a bit short of fitting my cows. Okay, so that's not necessarily a problem, because that just means you're in more of a deficit, which in turn over time will lead to more fat loss. However, if you are, and you know what, we're a few days in, you genuinely might be fine. You genuinely might be not feeling it. But if you carry on not eating enough, you know, over a long period of time, it could lead to a binge. I've done it in the past and I'm like, no, I'm fine. I can survive on 1,400 calories. I can. I'm fine. I'm not hungry. Then all of a sudden, a day hits and you're ravenous and you... So just be aware of that. That's all. If you are eating slightly less, fine. But record your hunger, Hannah. Be aware of your hunger. Never let yourself get... whatever side of the scale it is, never let yourself get hungry, okay? If you are, that's when problems can occur. So just always keep within a comfortable hunger level. Just check in every few hours. How am I feeling? Am I hungry? And just always have good quality, high protein snacks to hand, and you'll be absolutely fine. It all comes down to planning and preparation, doesn't it? So thank you for your questions, Hannah. I really appreciate that. Hopefully I've covered all the questions of others that have come in. This is going to be saved to the group to watch back, because there has been some really useful information in there. And it, obviously, I'm here for questions. All I wanted to do, because I answer your questions, but I just wanted to go more in depth into some of them for some of you. So that was the whole point of this. And make sure you're prepared for the weekend. I.e. what I'm trying to tell you is make sure that all your meals are still prepared for this weekend, because, you know, weekends can be people's downfall, of course. But that's it, guys. This is going to be saved, so if you've just joined, watch it back, because it's a good one. You've got some good information in there. And top tips if you're going to watch it while walking about to increase your NEAT, because you'll know all about that now from this video. Careful, they're going to see your boobies. Thank you so much, guys. Saturday morning sweat. Who's joining Saturday morning sweat class? These monkeys are going to be in the background, obviously. So if you want your kids, dogs, cat, or uncle to join in, feel free. Yeah, I'll see you Saturday morning. That is so weird. I'll see you Saturday morning, guys. Have a good evening. Speak to you all soon. Bye.